Hi everyone, Andy here. We are on Radio Row on day 5 on Friday, and here I'm with a special guest today. He's having a time of his life.
Absolutely.
I'm here with ESPN commentator Sergio Dipp. Sergio, how are you?
All good, my friend. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, I met this guy day 1, opening night.
Yes, opening night. So that was Monday night. We were doing our stuff, like you for everybody back in the UK, me for everybody back in Mexico and Latin America. And you know, it's interesting. Opening nights are a big challenge, but at the same time, a great opportunity. You know, you get to go like face to face with the biggest names in Super Bowl, and you have to find your way into your place right in front of them. And that's where we met, and I'm glad we're here now.
Yeah, that's what I found amazing, was just like, with my first time doing it, you know, seeing all these stars just there and just being, you know, I've done it in London, we've done the London games on the channel, and, you know, that's been one thing, but you always got a seat, you always got like someone to sit down.
Yes.
Whereas in New Orleans, in this week, it's been on your feet the whole time,
Exactly.
legs getting stiff, just pushing around.
So this is the real world, actually. Like, we're not right holders, you know. You guys are not, like we during the week are not either. So we just have to find our way into their faces and feel kind of comfortable. And then, like, you got to be brave enough. I got my questions ready. Like, I've got them in my head the previous week on my flight onto Houston and then New Orleans. I was like writing everything down, but then Monday morning, I'm like, okay, so today's the day. Now I got to get ready, and I get everything on paper, and then I'll find a way to get into like the first best available place I can, and then try to go back and forth with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and I know that people in my company appreciate that, so I enjoyed it too, for sure.
Yeah, I always say something. I view it as if you combined, you know, a wait for a queue at Disney World with Wall Street with an auction house. It's just complete chaos.
Agree. And like for me, like I'm not a day-to-day reporter. You know, I'm more of an anchor, of a host, and I enjoy that role a lot. I'm appreciative of the opportunity. I like analyzing, debating, being controversial. I enjoy that. I enjoy hosting shows too, like SportsCenter every day. But then once you're here, you turn into a reporter, and like I gotta remember my first days at a local kind of regional TV station in Monterrey in the northern part of Mexico. So that's where it all began for me 16 years ago. My first Super Bowl was Super Bowl 45 with Multimedios back in Monterrey, and that game was in Dallas, the Packers beating the Steelers. So that's Aaron Rodgers' only ring. That was my first Super Bowl ever. That was 14 years ago. This is my 7th Super Bowl on site. But, you know, you got to kind of remember, like, where you came from, what's brought you here. And it all began in events like these as a reporter for me. So, yeah, I enjoy this week a lot. It's exhaustive. You know, the truth is we're kind of tired. I think we gotta get the best night's sleeps we can, and then you work all day long, and you'll find any moment in the day just to eat, and then keep on. And for me, Saturday, prep-wise, is so important because I need to rest, obviously get all my information ready for pre-game, halftime show, and post-game, because that's what I do for ESPN in Latin America. But at the same time, like, I have to find like time during my Saturday to rest and to sleep, like my body and in a way my mind, because you know Super Bowl is Sunday and we got to be on the top of our game.
Yeah, I mean, ourselves, me and the franchise tag boys I'm staying with, I mean, I've had some earlier nights in the last couple of days, but I think we're certainly looking at tomorrow being a day of definitely rest, because you don't want to be arriving in Super Bowl on Sunday and being sort of tired or not being on your game. So yeah, make the most, try and get some touristy stuff done, but yeah, make the most. But you mentioned there you've been to 7 Super Bowls. Is there one that stands out? Obviously, I'm guessing the first one must always be something that, you know, in your mind, you think that was a special moment. Is there maybe one Super Bowl, whether it's a game, whether it's just the overall week, that maybe stands out to you as maybe your favorite one you've covered in your career?
Yes. Look, the first Super Bowl will always be special for sure. You'll never forget this week at New Orleans. I'll never forget Super Bowl 45 at the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But the one that will live with me forever for sure is Super Bowl 51. So that's Tom Brady's comeback. That's the first Super Bowl, you know, down 28-3 in the middle of the third quarter. That Super Bowl at Houston in Texas, for me, is the best game I've ever seen. Like, I knew it was going to be tough, but it's someone could come back. That was Tom Brady. And man, witnessing that and then taking that for me forever, that's for me like the best experience ever. Great game and great memories, you know, Super Bowl 51. So that was 8 years ago now. Crazy.
I always view the following year, the Patriots-Eagles one, I find,
Okay.
for me, is because you got, like, you know, Brady 500 yards, didn't win the game.
Yes.
The Philly special, their first win. And, you know, I think that game for me always has a place in my heart. So I think
I
that
feel
one
you.
must have been, if you were that one as well, must have been a great one to cover.
Absolutely. I think it was kind of unfair for Brady to, you know, throw for more than 500 yards and dominate the game on offense. But then the Eagles just found a way between Doug Peterson and Nick Foles and the Philly special to make it happen. So that must have hurt for the Patriots fans. I'm not a Patriot fan, but I've always rooted for Tom Brady because of his greatness, man. He's for sure one of the athletes that has inspired me the most. Just his mindset, like his story, his upbringing, you know, the 199th pick. And then, yeah, like I just feel Tom Brady is the biggest football player of all time. Patrick Mahomes is going to try to change that conversation. I don't think he does, by the way, if he wins this Sunday. So he'll still be behind only Brady for me, but Mahomes is on his way. I'd say Patrick is having the best career, like beginning of a career for any quarterback ever. But just what Brady did, like winning 6 with the Patriots and then going to Tampa Bay, a Buccaneers team that had passed the last 13 years without making it to the playoffs. So that was a long playoff drought. And there goes Brady without Belichick, obviously with Gronk and company, but without Belichick and beating the Super Bowl champions at the time, Kansas City, Mahomes. So that makes, for me, still Brady the GOAT no matter what happens this Sunday.
And also Brady beat Mahomes when
Exactly.
they met, and also in the playoffs,
Exactly.
2 seasons before that as well.
That's right. So for me, like if I understand Mahomes' greatness, like I won't fight with what I'm seeing from Mahomes. Like I've just surrendered. Like I see the guy and I go like, okay, he's special. And he's probably way more special, like way more gifted athletically than Tom Brady. But in the end, like Brady won 7 Super Bowls. And then again, what he did with the Buccaneers against the Chiefs, that puts him to me like on the highest of the positions. And for me, Mahomes has to win not 7 and tie Brady, but 8 to beat him. Because head-to-head, Brady, being a 42-year-old quarterback at the time, beat Mahomes like in the beginning of Patrick's prime. So yeah, for me, Brady will be the GOAT unless Mahomes gets to 8 rings, which sounds crazy, but from what we're seeing right now, I'm not betting against Mahomes on that one.
I think that's one thing you've learned throughout a whole time, particularly the last, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, just never bet against Mahomes, because last season, you know, they were saying, they kind of stumbled into the playoffs. There was like the Raiders lost on Christmas Day, and I think we all thought, okay, they may win. They might beat the Dolphins to my dismay, but I think that we all thought maybe they'd lose to the Ravens. But I think what they proved is
on
that
the road, bro.
Yeah,
that was
every
so
game
special.
For the first time in his career on the road, and I think now everyone's sort of established that, you know, they are 50-2, maybe not playing their best football, but I think on their day, particularly I think you could third down success as well. I think you can't ever write them off.
And you know, Patrick Mahomes back at Kansas City right after being back-to-back champions in that Super Bowl parade that was a year ago, like him getting the microphone just in front of all of his crowd and saying, like publicly saying that, like, more or less, he said something like, I know we went on the road this time. We missed you. Like, we know you missed us. Next year, we'll be back. Like, Chiefs Kingdom, he said, like, something around here at Arrowhead Stadium. And we're going for the three-peat. I mean, he called it. That speaks volumes to me about his mentality, his self-esteem. Man, that was crazy. Like, to hear that, and say publicly right after the Super Bowl win last year, like, back-to-back champions, and then there in the Super Bowl parade, just call that he was going to be back at home, playoffs this time because we missed you, blah, 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 blah. And then here they are, like 60 minutes away. That's why I'm not picking against the Chiefs. You know, Mahomes called it. Wow, that was crazy for me.
Before we get into your predictions, obviously you work for ESPN, you work in sort of the Mexico part of ESPN, and you've worked in the American ESPN as well. How does that differ? Obviously, the obvious thing is a time difference. You know, you got that element, but what's it like working for both the American ESPN but also the Mexican ESPN?
Man, I learned a lot. You introduced me saying my famous phrase of time of my life, and I get that, and I'm used to it, and I have no problem with it. I mean, I worked that with my psychologist, you should know, like right after that happened. That was September 11, 2017. It was a huge experience for sure, one of the best ones of my life. I learned so much, not only about the event and going viral and all the memes, and I had a lot of support though too, like not only my family members but people like in the media or fans who appreciated like me trying and doing what I did back there in Denver. But besides that, like for me, I learned so much about, like I grew up in the border with California. Like I'm a northern Mexican guy, so I'm used to speaking English since I was a kid, and I could say I'm kind of bilingual, but also bicultural, you know? But that's one thing. Then when you get a microphone, and we Latins have one way of doing things, and people here in America have different way of doing things. So that's I would say what I learned the most professionally wise.
Fantastic. And before we get out, let's go on to the final bit of the video, which will be our predictions. Of course, we talk about the Super Bowl a lot in this video. So for you, who wins?
Okay, I'm taking the Chiefs. I've been going back and forth in my mind because it would be no surprise, no shocker at all if the Eagles find a way to win. How? With Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. Saquon Barkley is obviously an extraordinary running back. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and obviously that Eagles defense. Like so many takeaways and no turnovers as a team. I'm speaking about the Eagles. This postseason says so much about their focus and what they're trying to accomplish. But man, like I've been going back and forth because on one side, like I see the Eagles, like roster and talent, like I could go like, okay, Philadelphia's winning. But then betting against Mahomes, but not only Mahomes, like Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Steve Spagnuolo, those are 5 Hall of Famers for me right there, you know, in key positions. So I have to say Chiefs, but man, like we all say what you just right now uttered, like we should not bet against Mahomes. Same thing I thought before, like we should not never, ever bet against Brady. And he lost 3 Super Bowls. So Mahomes has lost 1. There's chances he loses this Sunday too, you know? If Brady, like the GOAT, lost 3, and twice against the Giants, and 1 in that perfect season run, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Eagles win. But if I have to put my money in my mouth, I feel more comfortable saying the Chiefs are going to 3-peat, just because of, again, Mahomes, Reid, Kelce, Chris Jones, and Steve Spagnuolo. 5 Hall of Famers right there for me.
And for those watching or listening, where can they find you on social media?
Okay, so at Sergio A. Dipp W. That's basically what I use the most. That handle is for Instagram, which is the social media I use the most, or X or Facebook or whatever. I don't know what you guys use the most in the UK. I'm not so into TikTok yet. I know it's here and it's coming and whatever, but I enjoy Instagram the most. So anything you want, we're there at Sergio A. Dipp.
Great stuff.
Hey,
Thank you for your time.
Sure,
And,
Andy, appreciate
see you
it.
next time.